Wow, hello everybody. It is Pseudo, and I hear an echo today. Ooh, it's on you, Chris. We know it's on
You
you.
didn't tell me before the show.
You usually remember. Hello everybody. My name is Pseudo. You're going to hear me echoing just a little bit as I introduce the show. What day is today? Today is the 28th of August, which makes it a Thursday, which means at MMOBuff.TV, it is the Datamine, which is our independent development show all about independent development from a variety of sides to help you, the people who are interested in game development, get as much information, advice, and support as you can get. It's a dangerous world, and we're here to try to help you by being your group therapy soundboard. I am joined, as you can see, by our regular host, Mr. Chris Spikey Sabak.
Hello, everybody.
I don't know why I decided to slightly sing your name there. I feel really, really bad. Sorry
Fine,
about that.
it's best song.
It's a good song. It represents you. And as you can see in the dark, on the other side of the world, we are joined by he who is known as the Kaiser. This is John Kaiser III from Digital Tribe Games.
Good morning. Actually, good afternoon.
Well, it's morning where you. What time is it where you are?
Yeah. It's just hit 7 a.m., but I've been up since 4 just to make sure I was awake.
This is where we say, holy cow, thank you so much for waking up to be with us, because, oh my gosh, that's early. Or late, depending on if you stay up. But yes, and as you can see, it's not every day we start this show where I have to make a comment to someone who's already made a comment in the chat. And yes, Bid the Dog, aka Chris, I sure do wish I was hairy. I am so jealous of the beards that all of my hosts and guests have.
The same. My wife wants a beard, and I showed you before the show. I actually bought her a beard, and I've shown this to you guys, but I'll show it to everyone else. This is a beard that I got from, I think it was Etsy or something like that, and got it for a birthday. She's worn it once, but she doesn't wear it out, unfortunately.
I would. I have no pride. No pride. I'd happily put it on, walk outside, and if someone said, "What's up?" I'd be like, "Yo, I'm a dev."
My beard, yo.
I'm a dev. I'm allowed to have a beard. But yes.
You sure you wouldn't change how you speak? Like, hello, I'm a man. I have a beard.
Well, or I could say, hello, I'm a female dwarf. I have a beard.
Aha.
Aha.
There you go.
Ha ha ha. But yes, hello. We're going to be talking today specifically with Mr. John Kaiser about development and all of the things that Digital Tribe Games offers. We've had a couple of people from Digital Tribe Games, developers who have their games published through Digital Tribes on the Datamine, but we're now here to pick completely and utterly on he who represents them, and that is John. Although periodically I may just simply for fun call you Kaiser Sose.
I've been called Kaiser Sose, Kaiser Permanente.
Wow, for those of you who don't know, that's a company in the United States. It's incredibly crazy, but yes. So let's start off, John. I want you to take a moment. The floor is yours. Let people know a little bit about yourself. But the one question I want you to answer is, how does one get a beard that epic?
Don't shave.
Don't shave, right? Okay.
That's be a lazy bum like me. Don't leave the house, and it flourishes.
But see, you don't leave the house because you're constantly busy.
Can't do it. That is true. That is true. My life is working and helping indie devs get a little sunshine and help them grow. But I've been in the industry about 16 years. I started off at Midway Home Entertainment doing tech support. And for a while, if you called the tech support line, I was the voice of Midway. You would hear, press 1 for NFL Blitz. Press 2 for Mortal Kombat. Press 3 for, that was me for a while. And then worked my way up through testing and into internal development as an associate producer. I did some game design, some producing and stuff, but I kind of just went up and out the door. Midway is no longer with us. Did a few startups, had a little company called Nightscribe where we worked with IP holders trying to develop their games into, or work with their IPs and putting them into games, because as we all know, licensed properties usually get crap games. And so we wanted to work on correcting that. Well, everyone loved our stuff, but didn't want to pay us. So then I got another job. Worked at South Peak for about 4 or 5 years, where I started off as a graphic designer. I designed like the U.S. box art for like 2 Worlds and all the print ads and stuff. But then they wanted some. They were looking at some IPs, and so I did a couple of pitches, and the head of Fox told them it was the best pitch they ever seen ever, and so I got promoted to creative manager. Project fell through, and I don't know if I could say what the project was, but think of a Fox property also tied to Universal, and you might be able to figure it out. Then, yeah, so South Peak ended, and did some more contract stuff. I started a company called GameScribe, where I ran a competition called Pitch Win Play, where a lot of people I know have game ideas, but not everybody has the means to make them. So I ran a little competition. I teamed up with Renegade Kid, who was going to develop the game. So people pitched their ideas. I, would go through them and everything. It eventually didn't work out. Didn't have enough people jump in, which is fine. You try.
Might not have been the right time.
Yeah, I think I was.
You might be a little forward thinking. That's what I'm thinking, because with everything I'm hearing, I'm like, it seems almost like you were just a little bit ahead of your time for where the industry was at. But yes, go on.
Well, thank you. That's how I was trying to think. What isn't being serviced? What isn't being addressed? What isn't? So plus lack of funding. You do what you can off your own funds, and
yep.
And so anyway, so now I'm with Digital Tribe. So I started AAA, and now throughout my long career, I'm now at Digital Tribe. But because I've held so many different positions throughout my career. My business cards say "does all the things" because
you now need to send me one of these business cards. I want to see where it says "does all the things."
All right, I will pull that up after this. Remind me.
I think mine just says like curator, senior editor, or something like that. I don't even remember what mine says anymore. That's not a good thing.
Sorry.
It's so early in the morning. I feel so bad.
Excuse me a moment. Got to refuel.
So you've gone into indie now from AAA.
So yes, I've gone into indie to AAAs. I've gone from console to PC, which has been an experience. I'm so used to working. I got in when the industry, when there was like PS1 and N64 just came out, and now wrapping my head around the PC space over the last 3 years, it's like, oh my god, there's so many configurations and video cards, and and then you throw in the Mac port, and then now the Linux port, and it's fun. Anyway, so what I do at Digital Tribe now, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, it's one of those things, people don't realize just how many platforms there really are. There are always going to be those people who sit there and argue, yo, I'm pro PC, yo, I'm pro PlayStation, yo, I'm pro Xbox, yo, I'm pro Sega Genesis. Suck it. You're always going to have people like that. But there's so many things now. You've got the iOS, you've got Android, you've got the Shield now. You've got a whole bunch of new platforms. And I think one of the things that really made me stick out when I was looking into you guys specifically, because I wanted to speak to independent helpers and developers, and you guys were very kind in response. But you guys help people port through things like the PlayStation Network. You help port through Steam. You help port through Origin. You help port through all of the different things. All of the things. And
well, not all of the things.
Not
yet.
everything. You can't do everything. But you've got quite a few things listed on your site, and I thought that was pretty darn cool.
Yeah, we while we don't have like internal development, we're a small group of just passionate industry vets who saw this rise in the indie scene, and we're like, they can use a little help. A lot of times you need development. It's 1, 2, 3 people. And coding, just debugging the game, and if you throw distribution, sorry, I'm shadow puppeting my face there.
Well, you finally found a light, which is a good. Before you were like almost complete darkness. But yes.
It's my phone. I got my flashlight on my phone shining right in my eyeball. Just a little sacrifice just for you. I'll be blind after this, but it's okay.
Oh no. You and your keyboard.
Sorry.
Dear diary.
I mute it most of the time. I forgot that time.
What I'm expecting now is Dear John.
Thank you for sacrificing your eyesight and your morning for us.
Yes. Absolutely. So yes,
but anyway,
bunch of passionate people.
And so when you're with indie devs, you know, especially if they're new to development in general, you really can't foresee the amount of work that goes into the marketing and PR and the distribution and all the asset creation, and then maintaining all of those contacts while still trying to develop your game. And so, you know, what we offer is, you know, we do things a little differently. Like when I was at the bigger publishers, you know, when we worked with, you know, smaller developers and stuff, or it would be like, you know, we want your IP and we want, you know, control of all this, and this, and Digital Tribe's not like that, you know. We work with each individual developer depending on what their needs are. Some just need a little marketing support, you know. Some need help with all the distribution. We have really good ties with Valve and Steam, so while we can't guarantee that they'll say yes, you know, to every game we pitch, they've turned down a few. But we do have a close relationship to where we can just contact them. It's like, hey, this is our lineup. These are games we're looking, you know, at picking up, and they'll be like, yay, or bleh. But that, like I said, they haven't really turned down a whole lot. But having that relationship that we have with them, you know, we can then, working with these small indie guys, help get them on, and, you know, not have to go through sitting on the green light process and all that, because that takes up dev time, you know, sitting in the forums every day. And while I know a lot of the indie devs do, and a lot of them flourish in that community connection, it still takes up a lot of your time away from development.
Oh my gosh, does it? And I mean, that goes actually for anybody who wants to put their hands down into development. If you want to have a good social interaction with your community as an independent developer or a AAA developer or anything, you have to understand that it's almost like 25 to 50% of your time has to go to what you actually do, which is coding or art or music, and the other half needs to kind of go towards paying attention to the fact that people are either tweeting you or Facebooking you or putting things on the forums or even sending you emails with ideas and suggestions. Go ahead, Chris.
As an indie developer as well, it's very hard to get kind of consumed with that and not forget, but especially when you've got a complex project on, it takes a lot of your time to do the social media stuff, to do all of the... Well, I mean, I haven't even looked at the publishing side yet, but I know roughly what I have to do for it. And all the different platforms out there and all the different distribution places, and it's just... I think it's a good thing that these kind of companies are coming out now. You know, the Digital Tribes that are... Team 17, for example, they do that kind of thing as well. And it's nice that they're not taking the independent property off the independent developer, because at the end of the day, there wouldn't be independent developers anymore. That's what independent developer is. You know?
Well, right. If you think about it, you know, how many times do you hear about the horror stories in the music industry where the little guy made it big and he sold his life thinking he got a good record deal, when in fact he's lucky if he gets a penny per song because the you know, the company that's so big ate them up. Now, this is not to say or even suggest that all AAA companies are going to come into an independent developer's life and go, we will own your soul. They're not all evil. Some may be, some may not be. There's a huge spectrum. But,
well, it's,
you know,
it's your definition of evil, I suppose. If business is evil, then it's all evil. I've seen...
Okay,
you know,
that's a fair enough statement.
Because a lot, it's never a personal, like, you know what, you guys are a bunch of assholes. We're gonna stop using you. You know, you're fired. It's, you know what, your game didn't perform. We only have so much budget. Sorry, guys.
These are the numbers, and that's all it is. It's about numbers. It's not about the individuals and the people, because at the end of the day, as we all know, indie development is about the people in the team. That's why I really, I love the fact that my team are bought into it, and it's hard to get those people that would buy into indies. I mean, not everyone does it with a team, as we all know, but yeah, it makes a big difference, I think. And if your publisher or someone who can help you get to market is on your side, or at least shows that they want to be on your side, but still make, at the end of the day, it's a capitalist environment. Everyone has to make money, and everyone has to take some kind of profit or revenue or whatever from a product. But I think a lot of people, the IP is the important thing, as long as they understand what IP is. Because again, that's another thing. It's a whole subject in itself, IP. But yeah, let's not get into that right now.
Not right now, because I actually have a question I would like to throw at Mr. Kaiser Sose the Third. I'm going to just have all kinds of names for you today. I should just call you Epic Beard Man 2 or Junior, because we have Epic Beard Man Senior and Chris. But when it
comes... Or as my father used to call me, John Francis Kaiser the Turd, because he loved me so much. Hi, Dad. I hope you're watching.
Hi, Dad. I'm on MMOBuff.TV. But yes, okay. So one of the things that we do is we tend to ask random questions to better understand you. But I actually want to take something that you have said, and I want to expand it even further.
Okay.
So when it comes to the development cycle, when it comes to publishing, when it comes to handling PR or anything else, is there one thing that you wish was much more common knowledge, so that it's just one of those things you're like, everyone thinks it's this way, but the reality is it's this way. And I just wish everybody knew it, so that people didn't come in with blinders on or with misconceptions. Is there one really big thing that stands out like that?
I guess one thing I could think of, especially with new developers, is when they're estimating a timeline, like, oh, I'm using Unity, and you just click, and then I have my PC and I have my Mac build, and it's all just a one-button solution. But in reality, there is fine-tuning to each build, and so when you come in and you're discussing timelines, you need to take a real account of what's going into it, and everything's never as easy as you think it is.
Reality. Bend it to your own will.
So I guess that's one of those. As far as like what I wish everybody knew from a consumer standpoint to what we do, I guess, especially with the indie devs and with the smaller 1- and 2-man teams, people.
Well, you cut off slightly there. Go back and start that part over, especially with...
Okay. Okay. I'm kidding.
Now, see, that's not going to help. That's not going to help at all.
Especially with, like on the forums, they don't seem to understand, with these 1- or 2-man teams. And some of them do. Some of them are very understanding. But people come in there and it's like, your game's broke, fix it. And a week or two goes by, it's like, they've abandoned the game, these developers suck, and it's like, they're busy fixing, these problems. And with these smaller teams and smaller budgets, we're not a big company, and, we help what we can, but, we don't have an 800-man testing team on our games. And what I found with PC, no matter how many testers you have on it, when you go live, they'll find something. Yeah. The public will find something that you missed.
It makes sense whether you're a AAA developer or not. You have the best QA team. It doesn't matter whether you even mess around doing things with Cucumber or something crazy like that. QA is not guaranteed. It's a help. It's a great step. And in fact, it's actually a great thing, because having QA is kind of important. But at the same time, it makes a difference how many you have. Once you unleash the Kraken will upset somebody. It makes no difference. It's one of those, why doesn't this work? I'm running a Pentium 3. It should work on everything. So, yeah.
What were you going to say there, Chris?
I've forgotten now.
Aw, because you looked really excited to say whatever you were going to say.
I was going to say, you've got to, as a publisher and independent developer, you've also got to make choices as to what you fix. Because, say, for example, let's look at let's look at some of these pre-alpha games, or I always forget, early access, that's the name of them. I have to write that down in front of me as well. I always forget that. Early access is a bit different because obviously there's going to be bugs in it. But say, for example, an early access game was released as a full game and given that label, because that's all it is at the end of the day. It's just a label. Mm-hmm. Some of the bugs will remain for the game. I'm thinking of things like emergent gameplay bugs, things that come out and make the game more interesting for the players because it wasn't intended for the developers, but it became fun to play like that. And I'm thinking of specific things like, again, I'm going to go back to my favourite games of all time, and I keep talking about these. Quake 2 had physics issues in it where you could jump round corners and you could double jump and get onto surfaces that the level designers didn't intend you to get to from that particular position. But it is when you could improve your skills and get better at that, then it made it a better game. But as I said, the point is that independent developers and the publishers kind of together have to make the decisions. Right, there's 20 bugs here. 10 of those bugs are going to take us 10 weeks to fix or whatever, and then the other bugs are going to take.
Other bugs are going to what?
Take you 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
Sometimes some bugs are right. Fixed it, done.
Okay, well, we've had someone, Mythalore, who is a common follower of us and everything. Hi, Mythalore. Lovely to see you again.
Hi, Sam.
But they've said I just make sure that my games work for me, but my laptop's pretty bad, so it tends to work well as a minimum.
Well, that's a big difference, though. It's not just about the bugs. It's not just about your computer. It works on my machine. You know, everyone's got should have a little sticker on their blogs and everything. I think most people do these days. It works on my machine. It's not about it working. It's about people who aren't you finding bugs. That's why QA departments exist, because the developers aren't good at finding the bugs in their own code. Because I'm playing again. I'm writing a save and load system at the moment. I'm serializing data in my system, and I'm constantly doing the same actions every time to test it, and then I'm like, well, what other actions can I do? Right, I'll test that, and I'll forget. I'll miss some, and I won't retest things that might have affected by writing the code as it stands, Well,
I throw out
this is, again, without test-driven development, though. It's a whole different
I also throw out the fact that, I've had a fantastic experience. I don't know if you guys remember Oregon Trail. Very, very old game.
That'll be why, then.
Well, it might be older than you. Is that possible?
I think I'm coming down with a case of dysentery right now just talking about it.
Oh, my axle broke. But I got the game, and it was in 2000, which is a long time. Holy cow! 14 years ago, I re-got my hands on the game, and I decided to port it into a simulator on my system. And the game moves so fast because it was.
You need more slow.
Exactly. It didn't realize. It's like the developers were like, the game or the processing power is never going to get fast enough to be able to really push this out. And I just remember sitting there going, I can't play this because it is so fast. I can't stop it in time, and I can't do what I need to do. And it was just crazy. I'm like, they must have put the clock attached development-wise to something within the actual processor. And since processors are faster,
Yeah, well, it was exactly that. It was a processor clock tick thing, I think they used to program instead of the frame rate like we do these days, and we cater for different frame rates on different computers. I think it's a very different way of programming now these days. 1971, by the way, that game was released. So no, I wasn't born then.
Oh, wow. I wasn't either. 1971.
I was going to say I don't think you would have been either.
Wait, actually, I have to stop. I don't remember when I was born. I don't even remember.
It was re-released a vast number of times, actually. 1974, 85, 92, 96, 2001, 2, 5, 8, 9, and 11. So it's been released a lot.
But that's because it's a classic game. Most of us played it growing up in school on an Apple IIe.
Yep. The green monitor with the ASCII art.
Oh,
I bet this was your, by the look of it, look at the art that I'm looking at, I bet it was your version of the Yellow Brick Road, what we had over on BBC and Micro Electrons and Apples. It's a adventure game, text adventure game.
I almost have to throw out what was said earlier. America.
America.
I may be in the UK, but America. Just going to throw that out there. Okay. So we, as you know, are unfortunately lacking Mr. Adam DJ Arcus from Fortress Craft today because he is underwater right now. If the police are watching, he told me it was in a tunnel, I promise. And he wanted me to bring some concepts and some questions to you because he's like, make certain you kind of get this question. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask you questions, and I can't do it the way he does because I don't have the Lego behind me and I don't have the epic sort of, awesome goatee, but I will try. So, one of the big questions that he wanted us to ask is, how do you get the press to write about the games? How do you get them interested in the games themselves that you guys or independent game developers that you protect and guide, etc.? And also, how do you get the streamers and the content creators on board? Is there a magical formula that independent developers can use, or is it really complicated? Could the Earth explode if we actually revealed the secrets?
Let me think about that. It's actually just comes down to elbow grease. It's you sit and you just reach out, and you over the years
Is that a cat escapade? Usually a cat walks past when that kind of thing happens on the show.
There's 4 of them in here. I'm surprised, but no, that was just me hitting a box as I flailed around. Okay, so you reach out. You find out, what all the contact information is, and then you reach out to them.
Oh, there you go.
So you actually actively chase indie developers? Is that how you do business?
That's a faction of it. So I'll segue into that. So one of my roles is the PR and marketing guy here. Is trying to get them exposure on Twitch players and YouTube gamers and on the websites. And so a lot of my time is making relations, reaching out, saying, hey, this is me, I do this, here's this game, I noticed you like this kind of game, please, here,
Oh, so, sorry, you're talking about contacting
getting
outlets.
Right, getting the
after you've
game.
commissioned an indie game, right.
Yeah.
The media this is one of the big things I think that a lot of people are concerned about, and I kind of feel bad that this even exists in the game journalism. As someone who is a senior editor here at MMOBuff, I get really frustrated with people who do this. But there are people who are worried that when you approach streamers, when you approach certain games people, that you're buying off their opinion on their games. Now, I'm going to tell you point blank, I know a lot of games journalists, and not a single one of them would ever bow on their ethical policies as individuals to do that.
Yeah.
But
I don't follow that, and I've read a few articles recently about it. Something's
that's
always
why I brought it up,
happening in the
because
games
something
industry.
happened. Yeah.
And I really don't buy into that journalists do that. I mean, in the tabloids, yes, 100% tabloids. That's what they're for.
Darn you,
at the end of the
Daily
day.
Mail.
Yeah, you have to accept that as a part of life. That's why I don't read tabloids, because I know that it's a load of rubbish. But I think games journalism, I think there might be some journalists that do it, but as a general rule, I think they'd be outed. They'd be ousted straight away, wouldn't they?
Well, I'd hope
they'd be out
so.
of the door.
But I kind of look at it from this perspective. I mean, you reached out to us because you guys have a lot of games and we're game journalists, and that's how you and I got in touch with each other. And
Right.
I look at some of the games and things like that, and I'm like, these are really cool games. Some of them we can't cover because it's not our particular area of expertise, or we don't have someone who we feel could do it justice. But, at the same time, I would think you guys would want us to be as honest as possible with good and bad, and not necessarily be untactful, but don't sugarcoat when we run across something that irritates us, because how are developers supposed to get feedback?
Exactly, and I've had, not everybody loves every game, and I'm very aware of that. So, and I've worked, talked with some journalists where they were like timid that they didn't like the game, and when they like, well, here's our review's up, or they'll just not send me the review and I'll find it, and I tell them, look, all I want your honest opinion. It's like, did you like it? Didn't you like it? Just be honest. Say what you didn't like. Say what you did like. But just don't be like, oh, this game sucks. This game's awesome. Give your points. And but I don't think any of them have come back and have like written a positive review just because I gave them a game.
Do you ever pay people in that position to review games? Well, I think that's the main problem at the moment, isn't it? People are talking about the YOG Discovery stuff, for example. That's that people are they're kind of making a clever marketing ploy on getting more money out of people, basically, to review their games in a way, or give it more exposure and lend their audience to streamers and other gamers, things like that. I don't know the ins and outs of the details, but that's kind of what I gather from it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes, I think that's the main problem, isn't it? People thinking that journalists are getting bought by publishers and
developers,
any developer,
right? Or PR companies.
Back in the day, and I've heard it said, it's like, well, because you're not going to advertise in our magazine, I don't know if we have room for one of your articles. So I'm not. That stuff has gone on. It's not without precedent. But we don't do that. But I have seen it happen.
I'll be honest with you, there are so many streamers out there and so many YouTubers and journalists and game sites. I personally, as an independent developer, don't see any benefit in paying for that kind of thing, because if my game is good, it will get good reviews. If it's bad, it will get bad reviews, and it's my own fault. I don't want to pay someone to lie about my game and then my studio become under disrepute. Even if that was the case, I still wouldn't be interested in that personally. But there are people out there, there are developers out there that are mainly commercial focused. And I'm talking about more mobile stuff. I'm not saying all mobile developers I'm just saying, like, generally it tends to be the more casual market. Is it the more casual market that's more about free to play and making as much money as you can from the millions of people that download your apps for free and things like that? Again, I'm not going to name any names, but there's a lot of that kind of stuff out there. And again, I think indies are getting kind of bundled in with that a little bit, because a lot of indies do casual games because they're easier to make. Possibly.
Well, but as an indie developer, you need some income. If you're not, especially if
you have got to pay your bills.
Yes, if a quick and dirty game gets you enough money to work on your main project for another month or two, then why not?
Interesting. That itself could bring up a huge topic of, should we allow people to just put that quick and dirty game out there just so that they could survive? It's
but if
an
people like
concept.
that quick and dirty game,
but see,
you don't see the problem with it. We've
Candy
talked
Crush,
about graphics and all that kind of.
Candy Crush,
well, no, I mean, Candy Crush has at least got some kind of aesthetic pleasing value to it. I'm talking about games that don't have any kind of production value. That I think that they're quick and easy. Just throw it out there, get use assets from Unity Asset Store or whatever. Just get as much as done as quickly as you can to make some money. I understand that. That's fine. But it's the slightly shady morals on some of the pay models. I think that's the problem. And the promotion models.
Well, there's obviously companies out there where all they do is, like, the second with the Flappy Copter or whatever the new Flappy Bird game is, like, the second that hit, the clones were there, like, within minutes. It's like, there's companies that sit there and do that, but I think the scene that we're involved in and that we promote doesn't do that. They might do it quick and dirty, but they're not sitting there looking to clone everything, and that's their whole way of life. That's not who we work with. That's not who you guys talk to and promote. They exist, unfortunately, but.
I'm going to throw this question in because I think poor Bit the dog, our lovely Chris, who's just below me here, or who is now to my side, missed this. Mythalore asked a question, and it's about Digital Tribe games in particular. And they wanted to know, do you ask the independent developers or the people who approach you for a full design doc before you actually look at accepting a game? Okay, where is it that you guys stand on that particular beanpole.
I was
So
waiting for a moment, by the way, Josie.
Oh,
It's always jump in there too quick, don't you?
wow.
it's you know what it is? It's the fact that I've done over 100 shows here on MMOBuff.TV. I'm just sort of one of those, yeah, we'll just get it in. Just, GTFD. That's me.
So okay, so being that we are small, we don't generally fund games from start to completion. We usually come in when they get to a point where they need help. So most games we pick up are either close to being done or halfway through development, and they've realized, okay, we need a little assistance. So I've trying to think. There's only a couple of games I think they funded start to finish, but most everything we work on has been a game in development where I've either reached out, like I love Screenshot Saturdays on Twitter because I've discovered a lot of cool games that way. It's like, okay, who's this guy? Okay, and I'll reach out to them and start a conversation. A lot of indie guys, they want to go their own and don't need help, and that's awesome. More power to you. Some do need the help because they just need help. I need help.
I understand. I would be one of those people who would go to a publisher like yourselves because I've got so many other things going on in my life, and because the game is so complex that I'm writing. It's going to take me years to do it. So even with the team, so by the time I get to the point of publishing or QA, at least, we don't have the resources to do all the QA, and hopefully someone like yourself would be able to offer benefit. It all depends on the cost, of course, as well. Can you talk about costs on the show? Is it?
Probably in general. I mean, I can't give any solid figures. That's
yeah,
all.
Of course not.
But cost in general to like testing costs, to marketing cost, or what cost in general? Like what we pay for a project, or
for example, I spoke briefly just after our Team 17 show a few weeks ago. I spoke to Team 17 and I was asking them. I mean, I'm under NDA, so I can't speak much about it. But I was asking them what they could offer me because I had no idea. I didn't know what services they had. Right. So it'd be interesting to know the list of services that you have and kind of say, for example, we went down. Say I come to you and I say, right, I want full publishing from you. I want you to go out and speak to the streamers. I want you to help with the QA and offer feedback. I've got another question as well. But I need to keep that for a bit.
Hold on one second, Chris. Let me get my notes here. We need to just write all these down.
So, like all of the services that you offer individually, I imagine you've got some kind of percentage margin attached to it, some kind of revenue share or something like that. And how does the revenue share work if it is a revenue share?
Like I said, each contract with each developer is unique into itself, depending on what they need, and that's when it gets to that point. I kick it up the food chain. I'll find the talent, vet the talent, and then when they're like get down talking numbers and stuff, and it's like, well, I'll let you talk to the money guy and the exec because let them handle it. But like so there's not a set number. It's not like this service equals this amount of money. Okay. It's like, what do you need, and then do you need an advancement on your royalties? Are you good? Do you just need us to do the work? Do you need,
Right, I see.
So like some developers I'm sorry, go ahead.
You offer monetary help as well then? You said advancement on royalties. That's, again, so not something that would interest me, but other developers
if the developer needs it, and to a certain degree, based on the title and how much they need, that is something that could be talked about.
Right. Okay.
We won't sit there and fund your game. We're not going to hand you, 100,000 and say, let us know when you're done. But it's like, well, okay, so you got a day job and you want to work on your game full time for the next 6 months to finish it. All right, let's talk on how we can get that to happen. So we'll work with you that way.
Wow, Digital Tribe Games, facilitator of dreams.
Yes.
I want to pick up just on a question that we had in the chat. Yes, we are talking independent development. We are talking with Digital Tribe Games. We're talking with John Kaiser III, who happens to be the PR relationship manager and everything, marketing as well for Digital Tribe Games. But I kind of like the fact we got into talking about how there are certain clones that are coming out for games like Flappy Birds, etc. And we have RVDMNL who says if people are buying it, there's obviously demand for it. Why should it be a bad thing? It's kind of like another genre. Now, we had a small conversation in the chat already, kind of talking about how there is a difference between dirty games, etc. One of the questions I want to bring towards you, John, and with the work that you've done with people like Steam and some of the other platforms out there that you work with to get these games published, do they actually have a vetting process to make certain that games are secure or are not out to rape people's wallets? You know,
That was actually close to the question that came into my head, and it was the similar kind of thing. It's do do you like turn down games because you don't think they're very good? I mean, is it just a quantity thing with you guys, or would you publish everybody and anybody?
We've turned down a number of titles for quality reasons. You know, there is a modicum because, you know, since we are working with Steam, we do work with Amazon and GameFly and, you know, Origin and a number of we have a number of distribution channels we have close relationships with. There is, you know, a modicum of quality, you know, and you might look at our games and think that might be low, or you might think that might be high. Everybody's got their opinion, but I've loved all the games since I've been on that we've put out. Cargo Commander, and even, you know, Bad Bots and KR-17 and Cuba. It's been a lot of fun to work with. Depths of Fear, you know, Fortress Craft Evolved. So there's, you know, there is a modicum of quality that we look at, you know, because we can look at it and go, well, Valve's, you know, Steam's probably going to poo-poo that, you know, they'll probably tell us they need to go on green light, and which they've done that to us before, you know.
Oh, right,
do
so
they
you
have
bypass
certain
green light.
Do you have certain things like guidelines that Steam looks for that kind of a thing? I mean,
no, there's not like a bullet point list. It's more
must have guns, must have art.
Yeah, no, I mean, because there's been some really and I can't say what they are, but there was one title that blew my mind where they were like, you should probably, you know, put that on greenlight and see if the community would want that or not. And I was like, really, this game? And I'm like, okay, you know, but so they do have standards with what they allow on to a degree, you know. Not as much as like the console days were very rigid about what they let. PC is a lot more of the Wild West, even with. Hello.
Hello.
Do I keep cutting out on you guys? Okay.
No,
you're all good.
I was laughing at your statement, and I think Chris was going to say something, but then you paused.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, he's just all worried about his beard. Go on.
No, I didn't have anything to say. Sorry, I wasn't.
No, we were still going on about Steam, or at least the standards and how sometimes you can. Do you actually bypass greenlight? That was the question Chris has. So you can, depending upon the game and what Steam looks at, they may actually say, greenlight, you don't need, let's go.
Yeah. That's part of what we can offer to an indie developer because of our relationship, and, you know, we have a stable of games and developers that we work with. We're able to pitch directly to Valve and then publish, you know, directly to Steam.
Well, see, that's interesting to me because, you know, most people think that if you're an independent developer, you always have to go the routes of things like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or Greenlight. And just because you're an independent developer doesn't mean you necessarily have to follow all those channels. It does. I'd almost suggest, in a way, if you're in independent development, you look at either some kind of third-party publishing help. And there's quite a few companies. I mean, Digital Tribe Games is definitely one of them. You can look at
Midnight City.
There's a couple of them out there. But by talking and looking and exploring the different options that are out there, you're actually benefiting yourself because you're getting the years of experience and the connections. Let's face it. I mean, if you're going to publish a game and you want your game to at least be acknowledged by 100 people, you need help. You know, it's not, you can't expect to put a game out and get instant success. I mean, we were talking about Angry Birds a couple of episodes ago, and that was like Roxio's, 67th game that they put out?
yeah, something like that, 23rd or something. I don't know.
Some weird number, and it was just like, wow, crazy. But you were
But
going to say
I
something,
mean,
Chris.
as someone who I've been building up a following over the last year and a half now. I've got just over 1,100 followers on Twitter, and whenever I send a tweet out, it's the same 6 to 10 people that retweet and favourite. And occasionally I get a few new ones that start paying attention, but it's a hard job to do that as an independent developer. And I mean, bearing in mind that I've not been spending much time on Twitter. I mean, some days is more than others, but generally I'm coding, I'm doing things, I'm trying to get work done, and I can't maintain that. And you know, it's nice to have it as a community. It's nice to throw questions out there and go, what's going on with this particular thing? Why is this broken? But that's the benefit for me. It's not promotion, because the people that are following me are other developers. The people that are following me are publishers, people who are interested in my game in that sense. It's not punters. It's not customers. You know, it's not gamers. Gamers are a whole different kettle of fish. You know, and you have to do it. And yeah, I mean, again, you have to be very thick-skinned to deal with a group of anonymous gamers as well. So it's another thing that can bring you down as a developer, and you have to maintain a certain level of positivity while you're developing.
That's actually a really, really, really good point. There's recently been the case of a developer who got so brutalized by the public for something that they sold their IP and they want never to do game development
I wonder who that was.
again. And, you know, out of curiosity, John, do you guys try to play the balancing act? I mean, one of the things that some PR companies do, not all PR companies, I mean, it's different for each thing, but they tend to say, we're going to take care of your Twitter, we'll take care of your YouTube comments, we'll even take care of your email. Don't worry about it. And it's sort of a way to vet out the things, because unfortunately and sadly, developers, both independent and AAA, get death threats for the choices they make for their games, because some people take it way too seriously. You know, there are other people who do horrific things. So do you guys occasionally play the sort of intermediary to protect the developer? Or do you just
we haven't really had to like step in and like take over their accounts, you know, but there have been times, like especially after a launch, I don't think people realize how stressful a launch is on a developer.
Well, we do. We've recently had one in our team with I said the MMOBuff team with Danny. Danny's recently launched the game, and he's had to disappear.
Out, and he's gone. He's gone right now.
He's gone dark.
He's gone. He's gone under the radar. However, he did put out some rather interesting procedurally generated map with water. One of his first attempts at procedural generation for waters and landscapes, and it's actually really cool. But you know, he's so busy fixing bugs, creating content, doing the next patch, and the release was hard. Lack of sleep. You needed to be able to be there to respond to things. You needed to, you know, like we said, the QA side of things. When you have that QA thing going, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I think we're ready. We take this live, and then all of a sudden, 70,000 people come in with the same bug, and you're like, how did we miss that? And so you've had the release happen. You've now started seeing the comments come in, and now you've got to go back and try and fix it and get it out within 24 hours if you can, because there's going to be a massive sort of anti-second chance against you if you don't get it just right. Devs don't sleep and they don't eat during that.
Right.
Gamers are unforgiving, entirely unforgiving. Even if you speak to them, I am a gamer. That's where I come from. I wasn't a developer up until about a year and a half ago, as I said. Not a game developer anyway. And I was very critical, let's say, of especially AAA titles that were substandard, that had too many bugs in them and things like that, and very impatient with I wouldn't say I was never one of. I said I was a trolley type gamer, but I understand the mindset. I understand the mindset of I've paid £50 for this or whatever you've paid for it, right. $60 or whatever. You know, it's this is quite an investment for, especially for the younger gamers. You know, and they're going to get angry. The younger people, the younger gamers, tend to be the ones that can't control themselves as much generally. Again, I think it depends. Actually, I think thinking about that might be a false statement.
I think human nature itself, we have both the good and the bads out there. I mean, there is always going to be the trolls and the people who I don the mask of. Well, here, we'll just don the mask and say it. I don the mask of anonymity. Therefore, I can say and do whatever I want without regards to anyone's feelings, be it a developer, a producer, or anybody.
Some of the biggest trolls out there are in plain sight. And I'm not just talking about in the game industry. I'm talking about in the media and the public. Look at you guys may. Well, I think Josie, you may have heard of her. But there's a girl called. It's not games related. There's a girl called Josie. No, someone Hopkins. Katie Hopkins. That's it. Katie Hopkins. Have you heard of her?
I don't. I may have the name sounds familiar, but.
She basically goes on TV shows and just trolls everybody and everything. She's got, right, for example, she went on a show the other day, and this is the example I'm giving for people exist like this. She went on a show a while back, and she started laying into parents that call their kids after country names and place names and saying that they're pretentious and she wouldn't let her kids play with them. Her child is called India. And that's the fact is she got pulled up on it on the show, and she was like, whatever, don't care. She's just trolling. There's people like that all over the place. And I mean, we look at again the Phil Fishers of the world. Phil, I don't know if he actually trolls or that is him, but he does a good job of getting publicity from it. A brilliant job of it, in fact. I'd die to have the publicity that guy's got. You know, I would. I don't care what anyone says. He's getting death threats and that. I've had death threats before. If people are going to do that,
yeah, I have as well.
People are going to do, no matter how nice you are and how open and how public-faced you are, you're going to get it. Mm-hmm. But there are people who keep themselves open, and there are people who hide behind the internet and anonymity.
Let's see. Growing up, I don't remember this mentality existing. Maybe like even in like the journalism, you know, and within my group of friends, I don't remember there being this mindset of let's go out and undermine and ruin people's lives. I mean, I think that was a side effect of the internet coming out. Because maybe it's just me and who I hung out with. I don't ever remember, you know, consciously thinking, man, I wish I could tell this person horrible things and make them feel bad. You know, it never crossed my mind as a...
Sorry, I just unmuted as well then.
Well done. Is this the hidden basement doorbell thing that you have?
Over there now.
It's
over there now. I plugged it back in yesterday, and anyway.
Right.
Forget it. You didn't hear it.
Okay, so we're getting close to the time where it's time for us to end out on the show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remind people, if you are involved in independent development, there is an awful lot of resources out there for you. Don't hesitate to go looking, and don't settle for anyone that doesn't quite understand your vision. Nobody is ever going to fully get your baby like you do. However, if you would like, definitely take a chance. Go look at digitaltribegames.com. They have actually a good variety of games. Our last guest, Just from Liquid Flower, who did Cube -1, they were kind enough to give us keys to let people have them, and I've still heard good feedback from that, and I'm still dying to get my hands on that game myself.
Same, I've got it in my wish list now. I really want to play that. It looks fun.
I'm waiting for that, you know, when I do the bulk buys, because I have way too many games right now. But you know, if you are interested in also trying to get involved in our charity game jam that we're going to have coming up in December. Ooh, I mentioned something I hadn't mentioned before. Our game jam is going to be coming up in December, and it is going to be for charity, and we are going to split people into teams. We are going to see what you guys can produce in 48 hours. There will be prizes, not only for people watching, people donating, but also for the people involved in the game jam itself. Please keep your eyes peeled, because more information is going to be coming out in September. In October, we're going to start collecting people who are really interested. November, teams will be made, and then December, we're unleashing the Kraken. That's pretty much the way to state it. So, On that particular note, is there anything that you would like to leave people with information about for Digital Tribes? Anything that you want to make certain people know, maybe how to get in touch or anything else like that? Because in the end, you guys offer services and opportunities for the independent developer. Let's make certain they know how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, if you're working on a game, we'd love to see it. We can't pick up everything. We don't, it's just impossible to. It's not a numbers game we run. We do vet, pretty thoroughly, but we still want to hear from you. DigitalTribeGames.com. There's an About Us section that has, I think it's info@DigitalTribeGames.com, where you can reach out to us and tell us about your games. If you're going to EGX London, be sure to go check out Tiny Keep from Fee Games.
It's Fee, isn't it? Fee Dean?
I call
him Fight Dean or Fee Dean. I can never remember. He is hysterical, and in fact, he's going to be coming on the Datamine in September. He just is like, "Can you wait till after September?" And I'm like, "Huh." And then I hear something about a game being released in September, and I'm like, maybe. It's Tiny Keep. Tiny Keep's a little roguelike for you guys, if you guys are unaware. Roguelike, it is so much fun, and I can't wait to see him again. I fell in love with the game when I saw it last year.
And all the screenshots and stuff that he's released, I've got to see a little bit more. But, yeah, I loved it when he first came to us and what we saw, and he's gone above and beyond with everything to the game. It's like way more than I thought the game even was going to be, and so we're very excited about it. So go to EGX London, go up to Fee, give him a hug, shake his hand, play his game. I don't know about the hug thing. I'm not sure how touchy-feely
I'm curious
he is,
if he's going to do what he did last year. Last year at Rezzed, he was, I think it was Friday, he got feedback. He was sitting in the bar Friday night and brought the next iteration out to the floor Saturday, then brought the next iteration to the floor Sunday. I take my hat off to him. I think that's insane. I think it's absolutely insane, but it's what he does. And he is hysterical. So, he'll be joining us soon, but yeah.
I can't wait to you guys have him on.
He's so funny and so passionate. He gets so excited.
Oh, he is.
It's great. It's like he's just bouncing. Oh, he's great. But anyway.
That's one of the things I love about this job is like working with guys like Fee and Adam, who are so passionate. The Liquid Flower guys used. I was so happy. I just stumbled across the original Cuba on Desura. I was looking for games like Portal because my wife and I love Portal 2. And we were looking for more games like that we could sit and play together. And so I came across Cuba, and I'm like, I really like this. And so I reached out to him and was like, is there any chance you guys want to evolve this into a full game? And
-1.
Yep. So the prequel, Cuba -1 or -1.
Yes. They told us it is -1 because it's the prequel.
It's definitely -1.
But even though they're like, nobody gets it.
I know, everyone's like Cuba 1.
Yeah,
everyone
Cuba
sees it just as a hyphen. But yeah, it is a prequel. It is a -1.
You need to stylize it slightly differently. Put a space between.
Yeah. No, it's one of those hindsight things. Like, yeah, there should have probably been a space between the Cuba and the.
Yeah.
But we know what it is, and people slowly are getting it. As long as you're playing the game, that game has been probably one of our highest rated games.
Yeah.
Everybody, it was our first 10 out of 10 that we got from, I think, Glacier Gaming. And then another really high rated game we just released was Terrarian Saga KR17, which was the side scroller retro DOS gaming, little blue robot shooting, and that's been very highly reviewed. And it's that one as highly reviewed and people loving it. That one we're having a little trouble getting some of the more. It definitely needs some more attention. Some sites scored it even higher than which I am absolutely in love with Shovel Knight. I haven't beat it yet because I don't want it to end.
I've played about 3 of the bosses in it. I'm sure there's a lot more to it. I'll be honest. It's one of those I'm playing slowly. Do enjoy it though.
Exactly. That's what I'm doing too. Anyway.
Too many games. That's the problem.
So many games.
Not enough time.
So little time.
Yeah, so KR17's up there, in terms of the quality. It's a different style of retro side scroller. But I love those games. We just announced another one that I'm so excited that we picked up called The Wasteland. Not to be confused. Not to be confused of The Wasteland 2 or Wasteland 2, which is coming out. This is called The Wasteland, and it's based on a T.S. Eliot poem of the same name.
That's right. Yes.
And it's a very much inspired by Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest. So it's this open world. You can go anywhere. There's a day-night cycle. You can talk to people and fight creatures, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. That one's coming out next month as well. So next month we got The Wasteland and Tiny Keep, which is I love those games. I love our games. It's so hard. I have not played any except for Expendabros and Shovel Knight. Outside of that, it's like I've just been playing our games. I love that. I love that. I log off of work and I'll still sit and keep playing. Through our games. So
you've just admitted to playing games through your entire working day now. That's
yes.
You just admitted to.
Yep, live. You've caught it here first.
That's what people think That's what people think we do.
They do that with the journalists as well. I mean, I'm an independent developer, but at the same time, I'm a game journalist. And one of the things that people think is that all I do is play video games all day. I wish. Honest to God, wish that was what I do, but I don't get that luxury. My time is valuable in the fact that I have so little of it. So finding games to play that capture my attention, that I can play that aren't work related, are a whole different ballpark.
Yeah.
But hey, in the end, it's all a matter of fun. So what I want to do is I want to thank you, John, so much for coming on, and Chris, again, for taking time to be with us, even if your doorbell is silly and your keyboard still needs something like, I don't know, sponges on it to make it quieter.
I chose it to be this loud. I had a choice, and this is what I chose, so shush.
But yes, I want to remind you guys, if you are interested in getting in game development, there are so many ways out there, and one of the ways that we here recommend, just download an engine and go. Have an idea, even if your idea is as simple as just, I want to make a zombie rabbit game where when they eat carrots, the world explodes. Whatever, maybe stars explode. Just have a very simple concept and just do it. You will learn through doing a lot faster than you will from sitting there and watching someone else do it. But then getting involved with someone who's involved in making something, like, say, watching Chris when he's doing his development for Subnet, doing that is actually very helpful because you learn from their mistakes as well. Just don't watch and not do. If you really want to get involved, do it. Now, as a reminder for people, if you are interested in the Game Jam, more information is coming up in September. Tonight on MMOBuff.TV, and I say tonight because we're here in the UK, so it's going on 2 now. Yay! Which means it's about 8 a.m. for you, John. Fantastic. You're almost into the working day. The sun should be arriving soon. Exactly.
Yes,
oh, yep. Now we can see the light.
Get a sheet over it quickly.
That's
yes.
exactly what's over it.
So tonight we actually have a very special treat. We are doing a test stream. We have some new streamers who are joining MMOBuff who are here to do nothing but stream games when we don't have shows. So tonight you guys are going to meet one of our streamers. Tomorrow night is our last Cosmotronic show about WildStar, because in September our Friday show is changing. Sunday night, now this is awkward. Sunday night, or let's see, Saturday I'm going to be streaming. I don't know what game I'm streaming yet. It's kind of crazy out there, but Saturday I'm streaming. Sunday night at 1:30 a.m. UK time, which is about 8:30 a.m. US time, which is sort of about 11:30 a.m. Dr. Marsh time. We're going to be doing a special top draw stream of Hex live, which is interesting because getting Dr. Marshmallows, who was our TCG guru here at MMOBuff, to be on live is difficult because he lives in Australia. So him and I together at 1:30 a.m. on Sunday morning we'll be doing that. Monday, we bring back the perspective and we will be looking at yet another game. I'm not going to tell you which one yet because it could be a first-person shooter, could be a third-person shooter, it might be another MMO. We haven't decided yet. we're kind of tossing it back and forth to figure out which one. Tuesday, we've got the campfire, and we should have Blank Space back from PAX. And then next Wednesday, obviously, we have the Blizzard Forecast, where Mizpa will be streaming and talking with people about Heroes of the Storm, Warlords of Draenor, Diablo, and Hearthstone, and other things like that. And then next Thursday, we're back with the Datamine, and hopefully we'll have DJ Arcus back from Fortress Craft. You know, I'm hoping maybe we'll have Chris. We'll see. He's a very busy boy. But as for our guest, that's up in the air right now because I've had several people go, I would love to be a guest on the show. How can we schedule it? Like poor John had to wake up at 4 a.m. to be with us today. Now, I'm going to leave you guys to answer a fun question that we've had come in from Stupid Clown, who wants to know, what game engine do you recommend?
Personally,
oh, go ahead.
I just actually answered this in the chat channel anyway. Personally, Unity, because I love it and it's C#, works for me. There's so many different engines. We've answered this a few times on a few shows.
I think episode 2 is a list of like 25 game engines that are out there for the Datamine. If you want to go to YouTube/MMOBuff, you can find that. It's Danny from Just a Pixel, who just had a game come out on Steam. He went through, I think, 25 different game engines, and there's a different purpose to each one. I will state, though, that there are an awful lot of different types of engines. So, you know, for example, some people are really heavily involved in Unreal. Some people are very heavily involved in CryEngine. Some people are going to be incredibly passionate about Unity. And some people could care less as long as they can develop their game. Understand there's some of them that also use different languages as well. Yeah,
someone's just said in the channel, STPD Clown.
Stupid Clown.
He thought it would be easier. Oh, there we go. I missed the vowels out. I've got no idea what the word says. He thought it'd be easier to write code in Java or C++ than using an engine. And I can categorically 100% say that every developer that isn't a C++, hardcore C++ or Java guy will say use an engine, because of the pure reason that it takes all of the arbitrary engine stuff away from you, the physics, the lighting, the baking, the occlusion culling, things like that. All of the stuff that becomes standard within the games industry is usually in most engines these days, and it just takes all that away from you as a developer.
And there's something also to be said, depending upon the type of game you want to develop. CryEngine is known for the amazing graphics that it can produce that are just mind-blowing. The physics engine is well known for things in Unity. Unity is not the best known for handling certain sound things, which we discussed in last week's episode. So as to which is the easiest engine to get started learning?
Again, it depends on your experiences.
That, and a buddy of mine just got into game development. He just launched a Kickstarter for a game called Feline 49, and it
involves cats. We have to look this up.
Yeah, Feline 49, and he's doing it in UE4. And since he's not a programmer by nature, he's found that
sound
the
is
way
acting up.
UE4 is just a lot of tagging and linking. It's like, here's the animation cycle. He's found that UE4 has been very user-friendly. So yeah, it depends on what kind of game you want to make.
Which one? Because unfortunately your sound got really weird with me.
As I said, I chose Unity because I'm a C# developer in my professional job.
Wow. Everything went out of sync for 20
sorry.
20
Can you
seconds.
not hear me at all, Josie? Because you just spoke over me then.
No, see, that was weird.
Okay, Josie's gone all blurry on my screen. I don't know if anyone else can hear, but I can hear everybody.
It's so bizarre. It is so weird. So the engine that you said that your friend did, Cat 49 or Feline...
You're all synchronized for me, so...
Oh, this is a good thing. We're back. Almost.
49. Feline 49.
Yeah, Feline 49, which I've just linked in here. What did he make it in?
Unreal 4.
There you go.
Or the UE4, UK4, whatever the new... And he was saying that, he's not a programmer by trade, but it's so intuitive with just like linking up systems and charts and so he's found it very user friendly. And when you're looking at an engine, if you're looking to go commercial with your game, look at their
some
licensing.
licenses.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a key one. Look at licensings depending on what you want to do. As much as I'd love for us to continue to go on and on and on and on and on and on, I want to make certain that I send people off to have their lunch and go back to work because I know how busy these guys are. So what we're going to do is we're going to say big thank you to everybody. Thank you all for watching. Remember, folks, if you have any questions you want us to tackle, or if any of you want us to get in touch with any particular developers to maybe learn their tricks of the trade, or maybe you are a developer and you would like to come on to the Datamine, do me a favor, just get in touch. voice@MMOBuff.TV is our email, or you can find us in all of the social media places. Just look us up. It's not that hard to find us. On that note, I say to you, John of the epic beard, so jealous of that beard, I can't even begin to tell you. It is epic. And then Chris has his epic beard. Chris even has beard wax with him today.
Yeah.
Are you a Dapper Dan man?
I am a custom beard wax that my wife has made for me. It smells very nice, but I've never used it. I've not used it yet.
What's it called?
It's custom. She's made it, I think.
Yeah, but she has something written on it.
Oh, it's just dynamite beard wax. I think it's an old tin. Actually, this might be a bought one, but she does make things like beard oil and wax and stuff for me.
Well, Spintine, you'll have to let us know what type of game you're looking into. And definitely feel free to come back. Our Thursday show is literally all about independent development. And boy, do we cover a lot of things. For example, today we've had someone from a third-party publishing company on to talk about what it's like.
And I feel like I barely touched anything. It's like I feel like there's so much that. So if you want to have me on again,
see, I like the way he's doing this, because I was going to go, and we'll have to have him back because obviously there's more we can discuss. But he beat me to it, and that, my friends, is a very good PR plug. Well done. So yes, we will definitely have you back on to talk about things. And for those of you who are interested in getting into game development, understand various engines have community groups as well. So for example, we have Chris here, who is a member of the Manchester Unity group known as the Mug, which I think is hysterical for a name. And they get together and they do talks, and there is an entire group of people out there who do nothing but try to share information like we do here in the Datamine for you guys. So get involved, look out there, all kinds of things.
There are groups across the UK as far as I'm aware. I know there's a London one which Danny goes to. Manchester one, I know there's one in Leeds as well, I think.
Oh, yes. That's the thing. If you pick an engine, or if you actually pick a platform, more times than not, you're going to find communities developed or devoted to them. And you can then go in and ask questions. More often than not, in this world of independent development, you're going to find people who are kind and who want to share the love.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we do the show we do here. So, exactly. So on that note, so you guys get to say your little farewells and bye-byes, and then we're off. And then remember, folks, you can find me here. You can also find me all over the place. And we have a piece coming out, or we had a piece come out on our site today about Guild Wars 2, but we have something coming out about gamer hate very soon. And I'll be really, really curious to get the feedback that you guys have and all that stuff. What's a Leeds? Leeds is a place in the United Kingdom. It is a city in the United Kingdom. In fact, it's the city I live in, which is kind of cool.
It's in North Yorkshire.
It's in West Yorkshire.
Oh, whatever. It used to be in North Yorkshire, didn't it? Many years ago.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I know that they juggled all the counties around, but then again, Leeds, I suppose, is centralish, isn't it? So maybe it is West Yorkshire. I don't know or care.
I know it's in West Yorkshire. I know my own address. It's in Yorkshire. Get some Yorkshire water and Yorkshire tea, or however it is my husband says.
Let's see if you get my T-shirt this time.
A delicious Moorish. It's deliciously Moorish. Lol, lol, lol. Funny. I get it. I do get the joke.
My wife taught me that.
All right.
I feel so out of it. I'm just a poor little technical boy.
The pun is Moor. I say Moor. Most of the people in the UK say Moor, which is basically the hills in the middle of the UK. They're the Moors. And It's deliciously Moorish. It's deliciously Moorish. And North Yorkshire is where the Moors are. That's what the joke is for anybody who doesn't understand what England is.
I do appreciate you explaining that to me.
It's a very bad pun, but my wife lives on puns. She literally she doesn't eat anything. There's just puns.
Yorkshire pudding.
Does she read Piers Anthony?
Yes.
Sorry? Does she read Piers Anthony, the Zant series?
No, not that I'm aware of.
All right. Well, she loves puns. The entire series, everything is a pun.
Reads Anthony. I'll check that out.
Piers Anthony. Piers. He is a brilliant sci-fi writer. I loved the Blue Trilogy or whatever that thing was that he did. It's been so long since I've read it, though. But yes. So, yeah, for everyone who is curious, my name is Pseudo. I'm with MMOBuff.TV. This is the Datamine. Next week, we should have our other host, Adam, back. He's at a convention. Hopefully, he's no longer underwater because that would just be really awkward. And we'll hopefully have Chris as well. And our guest, you're just going to have to wait and see. And on that note, toodle pip, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everyone in the chat.
Thank you so much.
Digital Tribe Games. Digital Tribe Games.
Kaiser, so say the third. Yo, whoa, yo, and I need to end the stream. It's gotten out of hand. But anyway, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.